Well, let's take a look at some of your top D.C. daily headlines today. Big question. Can President Trump deploy the National Guard in California without the state's consent? We could find out this afternoon. A federal court ruled the president's takeover of California's National Guard is likely illegal, but then an appeals court ruled he can keep the troops in place in L.A. temporarily. Now, a federal appeals court will hear arguments today on whether President Trump can keep control or has to turn control back to Governor Newsom. President Trump is back in D.C. this morning, leaving the G7 summit early because of escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. The president refuting reports his return is to focus on a ceasefire, saying that he is working on something, quote, much bigger, though not giving any more details. President Trump slashing tariffs on the UK, saying UK imports are protected from future tariffs because the president says, quote, I like them. This is the president's first signed trade deal since rolling out his liberation tariffs in April. The UK deal cuts tariffs on car imports from 25% down to 10%. No word yet on whether steel tariffs will be lowered from the current 25%. And how are President Trump's tariffs impacting prices? The Import-Export Price Index drops this morning, expected to show that prices for imports and exports ticked up about 2% from last year.
You're listening to air raid sirens blaring across Tel Aviv as the conflict between Israel and Iran enters its fifth day. The Iranian military launching more missiles at Israel overnight after Israel intensified its air campaign against Tehran on Monday, warning more than 300,000 people to evacuate. Now, the intensifying conflict prompting President Trump to leave the G7 summit in Canada early and call for the National Security Council to meet in the Situation Room.
Now, the president warning with a social media post, quote, everyone should immediately evacuate Iran. Now, before leaving the G7, the president joined other leaders to issue a joint statement that Iran, quote, can never have a nuclear weapon, and calling for a de-escalation of the hostilities in the Middle East.
They have to make a deal, and it's painful for both parties, but I'd say Iran is not winning this war. And they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
All right, so why did the president leave the G7 early? Well, overnight, he posted on social media that he was not coming back to work on a ceasefire. He says that he left early for something, quote, much bigger than that, although not going into detail there. Now, an Israeli strike on Monday also hit the set of a live broadcast on Iranian state TV. Right here, you see that moment where the anchor had to get up and go. Now, the country's defense minister says that it attacked the Iranian regime's propaganda and incitement broadcasting authority, but Iran called the strike a, quote, wicked act of war crime. Now, Israel is continuing to hit Iranian facilities. Experts believe there is one underground facility that only the United States has the capability to destroy. At last check, American forces, though, have only stepped in to help protect Israel from incoming missiles.